Welcome back. It's still Rise and Shine, and the conversations are still going up. At this point, we're going to be looking at the All Progressives Congress in Akwa, Ibom State. There's been some form of controversy going on there for the last couple of weeks, having seen the person of Obong Akanimo Udofia being reinstated by the appeal courts as the gubernatorial candidate for the party. And then a day after that, we heard that there was an expulsion of Senator Enang, who is a member of the APC and was the one contesting that position over Akanimo Udofia. At this point, controversies back and forth whether or not he has actually been expelled by the APC in Akwa Ibom State, and he himself has been contesting that particular stand. To have this conversation with us this morning on set is Barrister Akwa, who is the Director of Communications and spokesperson for the Akanudofia Gubernatorial Campaign Committee. Good morning, sir. Thanks for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Yeah. Good to always have you on the show.
Always exciting to be here.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask, how is the spirit of APC right now? Because it's like that particular party is divided right through the stomach right now.
The spirit is very high.
Okay.
Very, very high. There's ecstasy in the air. The party is not divided. We just have individual disagreements, which are natural and healthy, especially for a political party that is a leading opposition party in the state, that is positioning itself to take over government and governance in Akwa Ibom State. It's natural that you have disagreements here and there. You have disagreements even in households, even in a monogamous relationship. You definitely have disagreements. So the disagreements are not destructive. We advise that if there are people who have cause to complain, they can disagree without being disagreeable. You know, so that's healthy for the system.
Okay, but we have like the local council chapter within APC rejecting Enang's expulsion from the party. So we're even seeing like factions in the party. You know, some people are saying, oh, we are not aware of any form of expulsion of Senator Enang, and there's some other camps that are saying we are on for this. What's that about?
Well, I'm not from that local government, and I'm not a party functionary. I'm not a party official. I have also read the developments in Ibom, where distinguished Senator Enang comes from. I have heard, read and seen the communique and the reports of the disciplinary committee saying that he's been adjudged guilty, indicted for anti-party activities and so on and so forth. And that report has been forwarded to the hierarchy of the party at the state, and the state chairman of the party has ratified. I mean, the state working committee has ratified that. The information and decision has also been confirmed or conveyed via a letter signed by the state chairman. Incidentally, there are also people from the same local government who also say they are members of the ward executive in Ibom who are saying, well, it is not true. We didn't sign letters. We are not aware of the expulsion of the distinguished senator. In fact, some other groups have even gone ahead to pass votes of confidence. You know, the kind of things you find in the political space. But I have had cause to react to that, and I think it's something that can be sorted out between this distinguished senator and then the party apparatchik at that level.
Okay, now,
we don't need to bother about
there's been the debunking of, because when you say there's no faction in the APC in Akwa Ibom State, it leaves a lot of people wondering, because we have Senator Enang on one end, you know, fighting for that particular, or rather saying that he's the bona fide gubernatorial candidate of APC. We have, you know, Akanimo Udofia on the other end. So obviously, people would say that there's a faction. But let's also even look at some of the issues, you know, arising from this particular expulsion from Senator Enang. According to him, he said there was no judgment from the Supreme Court declaring anyone in the first instance as the bona fide candidate of the APC in Akwa Ibom State.
Well, I didn't say there are no factions in the APC. Well, I didn't mention the word faction, but I also know that there are no factions in the APC. What I know exists in the APC are that there are different groups who are loyal to those who sought the party's ticket at one level or the other. I mean, and those are very normal things. If you have an aspirant who, for instance, desires to be governor of the state, it only stands to reason that he would have his group, you know, his campaign structure across the state, and sometimes the divisions amongst these groups is quite stark, it's quite acute, and it's ingenuity on the part of the party if you are able to merge these groups eventually when a candidate emerges, so that these forces coalesce into one block. Distinguished Senator Enang is in court. He was also an aspirant at the primaries in May last year. He lost, and he feels that there was foul play. He's well within his rights to challenge that, and I think that is exactly what he's doing. But APC, as one indivisible party in this nation, the National Working Committee, which organized the primaries in the first place, has recognized Obon Akanimo Odofia as the candidate who won the elections. It's called, I think, about 1,770 something votes. So that is the person the party knows as its candidate, even though INEC has failed or not yet published the name. But that is the person who is the candidate of the party. It is not INEC that makes the winner of the primaries of a political party a candidate. It is the outcome of that primary that throws up a candidate.
So
what INEC is required to do. Well, these are administrative bottlenecks. Right from May, when that exercise was conducted, of course, you know, the difficulties we had with the running battles we had with the erstwhile rec, Mr. Mikey Guinea, who constituted himself into some kind of law and lord unto himself. And he gave reports which seemed to contradict the developments within the party. And that may have played out within the administrative cadre of INEC, delaying its ability to take the decision on the candidature of Obon Akanimo Odofia. And I think that that will be sorted out in no time, definitely before the elections, especially with what we are seeing happening in the courts now. Now there is no case at the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has not given any decision. I say there's no case at the Supreme Court, even when Senator Enang, who took the case to the Federal High Court in the first instance, lost out at the Court of Appeal. At the Court of Appeal, the judgment of the court was that in the first place, the suit at the Federal High Court was a nullity, which is a jurisdictional impairment on the court. The meaning is that that case was dead on arrival and ought not to have been brought or even adjudicated upon in the first place. And in fact, the Court of Appeal went ahead to expunge the entirety of the records and the judgment of the court from the records. Senator Enang is not comfortable with that judgment. I understand, and I've also heard him say he's heading to the Supreme Court, which would mean he's taken steps to review or reverse that decision. I am not aware that there are people who say Obon Akanimo Odofia's name has been forwarded to INEC or has been published by INEC. I'm not aware of people who have also said that there is a court that has made a pronouncement that Obon Akanimo Odofia's name should be published by INEC. But I'm aware, it is documented, that the Court of Appeal said that Obon Akanimo Odofia is a member of the APC, which were the issues that were canvassed at the lower court. The Court of Appeal is saying he's a member of the APC, a bona fide member of the APC, and participated in the primaries and emerged as the authentic candidate of the party.
Okay, let me even hold you down on that particular issue that you just raised, because that was one of the issues that he, Senator Enang mentioned as part of why the court shouldn't give the candidacy of the gubernatorial ticket to Akanimo Odofia. Now, for him, he says that the register of the APC had long been closed at the time Akanimo Odofia lost in the PDP and decamped to the APC. The
register of any political party is never closed. It's just like saying I shut the doors of a church to admitting new members. It's not a school where you have, even in schools, you have midstream intake. There are people who join academic calendar in the second term. You may not find in the third term, but while it is regular to get into school in the first term, Many people also join in the second term, depending on the various scenarios that play out. So in a political party, membership of a political party...
Why was it now said that there was a waiver that was given to Akani Moldovia if the register is not supposed to be closed?
The waiver has nothing... No, the waiver has nothing to do with membership.
Okay.
And closure of register, rather. It has nothing to do with closure of register. Because, like I said, even up till this moment as I'm talking, the register of the party is open. There are people who are subscribing to membership of the party. There are people who want to identify with the party, and they are still being issued with membership cards. So you can never have a time when they say, oh, the membership register of the APC is closed.
So what was he granted a waiver for?
Now, for you to contest elections within the APC, even as a member, it is required that you must have been a member of the party for a certain period of time. For instance, you can't become a member of the party today and contest elections tomorrow, except the NWC grants you a waiver. Because in the APC, being a progressive party, the understanding and the philosophy behind our membership and drive is that irrespective of when you joined the party, your rights and obligations within the context of the party dates back as if you have been a member of the party all along. And that's why I also had opportunity of faulting Senator Enang, who said, well, I can't be suspended from the party or expelled from the party or even disciplined by any member of the party because, according to him, he said he's the spirit and the soul and the body and the flesh and the bones of the party on account of longevity. He joined the party, I think, in 2014 or at best 2015. Some of us have been in the party right from inception. In fact, we were even members of the party, one of the pioneer members. Oh, yes, of the major parties. So, if longevity is a basis for carrying out disciplinary action, then I can sit here and send away every member of the party who came after me and say, look, we are all suspended. But that is not the basis. There is a procedure. And if that procedure has been carried out or followed according to the Constitution, then Senator Enang would have himself to blame. But like I said, those are issues he can sort out with his ward and then the party apparatus. So the waiver granted Obon Moldovia by the National Working Committee of the party was to allow him contest the elections. And it wasn't that he needed his name to be on the register of members. Now, the point to be made is that in our own jurisdiction in Nigeria, where you have to talk about who is a member of a party, it is not a subject for a court to decide. Where you have to also talk about which rival primary of a political party the court or the INEC should recognize is not also an issue that should be taken to court. It is not justiciable. It means that even though you have a disagreement over it, you can't get a legal right out of that. And that is what they call the internal affair of a political party. Political parties come and go, even though, yes, you are expected to respect and adhere to certain rules and regulations and what they call it now, the accord your members rights of fair hearing. You should have some semblance of fairness and equity in the operations and organization of your party. But, you know, as a member of the party, you cannot superimpose your personal whim and caprice and desire on the decision of the party.
So where
and because it's a voluntary,
where the internal issues are not being able to be addressed by those that are in the party, what happens?
No. There are the party provides for internal mechanism for dispute resolution. And I can tell you that most of the members of the party who have gone to court did not even explore that. And the courts, including the Supreme Court, says you don't begin to go to court when you have not exploited and explored those internal dispute mechanisms.
But in this particular case, those options were not exploited.
No, you see, in Senator Enang's case, for me, it raises quite some cause of concern. I have seen court documents where Senator Enang said, well, I wrote a petition to the appeals panel of the governorship primaries, and then I was not afforded fair hearing, in which case it means that I was not allowed to come and defend the petition. I was not called upon to defend my petition. And I have also seen another court document which acutely contradicts the earlier one, which says, oh, I wrote a petition, I was called upon, and I defended it. 2 court affidavits deposed by one man who is a very senior lawyer. So it just tells you that maybe there is some other motive underlying the reason for why the decision senator is doing the things he's doing. And I pick quarrel with his style and choice of words. You know, I mean, he has his own idiosyncrasy, but I think that for someone of his status and level within the party, there are things you do not say. For instance, the other day I heard him on radio say members of the party who took a particular position are scammers. I don't think those are the kind of expressions that are elegant enough to be spewed in the public space. And I drew his attention to that. Thankfully enough, I think he also apologized about that. So depending on how you go about it, questions may be raised as to what exactly the motive is, what exactly you want to achieve, so that you don't pull the roof down on everybody. If the idea is to constructively engage the party to seek redress for an existing right, then there are ways to go about that with decorum.
Okay, so I think where I will, just touch down on this conversation is that one way or the other, it's risky to think that.
Okay, so I think our phones are buzzing. We'll just take calls. Obviously, you can be a part of the conversation. The number is on your TV screen. You have a question, you have a contribution to make. Do well to call us. Go ahead, Ria.
Okay, so I was going to say it's risky to think that the fight of Senator Enang is not going to affect, the entire bodywork of the APC and the candidacy of Akanemo Odofia at this time. We are closing in on the days for the gubernatorial polls. What, is the party doing to make sure that this fight between Senator Enang and Akanemo Odofia, is over and done with, so that people can know who they are actually voting for come the 11th of March?
Well, the party is reaching out. The party has reached out, but of greater import is that the governorship candidate, Akanemo Odofia, has also reached out. He has said so severally, even on the 20th of January, when the Court of Appeal handed down its judgment. He said he's reaching out to all those who went to court, and says that his belief is that they have a right to go to court, and that they also have the conviction of ensuring that they build the party on some solid footing. And that is why they went to court in the first place. He doesn't see this as a personal problem between him and anybody. He also does not feel that there are people who have personal issues with him. When you test the law in the courts and they border on political issues, it deepens democracy. You have pronouncements that are made by especially the apex court in the land. It provides some finality to some of the contentious issues you have in society, so that you don't have people who are aggrieved and then they reach for their machete, or they reach for their gun, or they reach for a club or something, and then resort to self-help, which is criminality in itself. So the courts will definitely help in putting a lead on this whole thing. We're losing time.
Yeah,
we're losing time. That is true, and I think that's the worry of most people. You will not have Senator Enang's name on the ballot. Neither would you have Obon Akanemo Odofia. What you're going to have is the APC, and for Obon Akanemo Odofia, that is the choice of the party, and we expect that whatever case is being ventilated at whatever level would still return Obon Akanemo Odofia as the candidate of the party. But
okay.
A part of that engagement is that we're reaching out to ensure that there may not be a need. Sometimes you get justice in court, but you don't get solutions to problems.
Let me quickly ask this question. I know that our time is up. We have just barely 1 minute to wrap up the show. But there's been that accusation, that the party, or yes, the APC family now in Akwa Ibom State that expelled Senator Enang, has a face behind it. The person that's is more like a signatory to that expulsion is not the main person. There's a bigger masquerade behind, and that is Senator Gospel Luboda Pabio. So what's your take on that? Quickly now, our time is up.
Well, that is a big question. You're talking about a big masquerade. That's a big question. So you probably can't get an answer within a minute. But I can tell you that Senator Pabio is not interested in things like that. Senator Akwa is not an officer of the party. He's not an official of the party. He doesn't come from the same senatorial district as Senator Enang. The party does not belong to one person. It doesn't belong to one individual. And so therefore, whatever has happened has nothing to do with Senator Akpabio. He has not even commented on it, you know. So let us look at the issues for whatever they are worth, the merit of the issues, rather than beginning to look for possible undertones about it. I've also heard people say that it has to be this or that. But I don't think that argument would hold water. People always want to read motives into misfortunes that befall them. And that's why in our society, especially in Akwa Ibom State, when someone is sick, rather than running to the hospital, he begins to accuse his neighbors of witchcrafts and all of that. So it would be futile to begin to accuse Senator Akpabio. He has no hand in it. He's a leader of the party in the state. He's a former governor. He's a former senator. Principal officer of the Senate at that, and former minister of the Federal Republic. I don't think he would want to take himself down to such level.
I'm sure we'll deal with that next time. But your principal was not available at the gubernatorial debate yesterday in like 2 seconds. Was there a particular reason why we didn't have Akanimo Dofia stand the debate yesterday?
Well, he just came into town, I think 2 days earlier, and had to stomp through the streets of Akwa Ibom, the streets of Uyo, you know, to greet supporters. He's just coming into the state for the first time after the Court of Appeal judgment. And shortly after that, he was slightly under the weather and needed to take a rest to prepare for the presidential rally today. You know, that would quite be exerting. And that was, I mean, apologetically, why he couldn't make it.
Okay, thank you so much, Barrister Imokwan, Director of Communication, Spokesperson Akanu Dofia, Campaign Council. Thank you so much for your time with us this morning. Obviously, there's always a reason for candidates not attending to, what do you call it now?
There is a reason for everything.
Thank you.
So long as they are not excuses.
Okay, thank you so much. That's the much we can take on the show this morning. It's been wonderful, and thank you so much for being a part of it. We'll do it again tomorrow, of course, here on Rise and Shine Daily. My name is Janice Covington. Have a great day.
My name is Yanik, and thanks a lot for being a part of today's show, and thank you to everyone who was a part of a very successful production. We'll do this again tomorrow. See ya, and enjoy the rest of our program, and leaving you with Sport Central.